So the next problem is, which is very complex, like all human problems, is it possible to end all sorrow? Because where there is sorrow, there is no love. Where there is sorrow, obviously, there cannot be intelligence. We'll go into that word, which is a very complex word, intelligence. You know, the understanding of relationship, fear, pleasure, and sorrow, is to bring order in our house. Without order, you cannot possibly meditate. You understand that word? Unfortunately, that word has been brought to the West by the Eastern people. Now, the speaker puts meditation at the end of the talks because there is no possibility of right meditation if you have not put your house, psychological house, in order. If the house is in disorder, psychological house, what you are, that house is not in order, what's the point of meditating? It's just an escape. It leads you all kinds of illusions. And you may sit cross-legged or stand on your head for the rest of your life. But that's not meditation. Meditation must begin with bringing about complete order in your house. As in order in your relationship, order in one's desires, pleasure, and so on. And also, one of our causes of disorder in our life is sorrow. This is a common factor, common reality in all human beings. Everyone goes through this tragedy of sorrow, here or in the Asiatic world or in the Western world. Again, this is a common thing we all share. There is not only so-called personal sorrow, but there is the sorrow of mankind. Sorrow which wars have brought about. "5,000 years of historical record, every year there's been a war. Killing each other. Violent, terror, brutality, maiming people. People who have no hands, eyes, and so all the horrors and the brutality of war, which has brought incalculable misery to mankind. It's not only one's own sorrow, but the sorrow of mankind, the sorrow when you see a man who has nothing whatsoever, just a piece of cloth, and for the rest of one's life he's going to be that way. Not in these Western countries, but the Asiatic world, it's like that. And when you see that person, there is sorrow. There is also sorrow when people are caught in illusion, like going from one guru to another, which is escaping from yourself. That's a sorrow to observe this. The clever people going off to the East, writing books about it, praising some guru, and we all fall for that nonsense. That's also sorrow. Sorrow that comes when you see what the politicians are doing in the world, thinking in terms of tribalism. That's also sorrow. So there is personal sorrow and the vast cloud of sorrow of mankind. Sorrow is not something romantic, sentimental, illogical. It's there. My son dies and it has shattered one's life. And we have lived with this sorrow from time measureless. And apparently, one has not resolved this problem. When one suffers, one seeks consolation, which is an escape from the fact of sorrow. When there is that grief, you try every form of amusement, escape, but it's always there. And apparently, humanity has not resolved it. And we are asking the question whether it is possible to be free of it completely. Not avoiding it, not seeking consolation, not escaping into some fanciful theory, but to live with it. Just let's understand what we mean by that word, live with it. Not let it become a habit, like most people do. They live with nationalities, which is most destructive. They live with their own separate religious conclusions. They live with their own fanciful ideas and ideals. And that again brings their own conflict. So to live with something, to live with sorrow, not accept it, not become habituated to it. That is to look at it, to observe it, without any escape, without any question of trying to go beyond it, just to hold it in your hand and look. Which is, sorrow is also part of this tremendous sense of loneliness. You may have many friends, you may be married, you may have all kinds of things, but inwardly there is this feeling of complete loneliness. And as part of sorrow. To live with that, to observe that loneliness. Without any direction, without trying to go beyond it, without trying to find a substitute for it. To live with it, not worship it, not become psychotic about it. So, which means to give all your attention to that pain, to that grief, to that sorrow. So when my son dies, or somebody whom I think I love dies, there is great grief. And without running away from it, just to, it's a great thing to suffer, not great thing to suffer, to understand suffering. Because then, where there is freedom from sorrow, there is compassion. And one is not compassionate as long as you're anchored to any belief, to a particular form of religious symbol. Compassion is freedom from sorrow. And where there is compassion, there is love, and with that compassion goes intelligence. Not the intelligence of thought with its cunning, with its adjustments, with its capacity to put up with anything. Compassion means the ending of sorrow. And only then there is intelligence.